First post from Baby Don't Come Back. Hey! You can't park there. So, my mate is handling his business, doing a regular delivery, FX, at this swanky Beantown hotel, when some asshat in an open-top Porsche pulls up thinking he's royalty. He tosses the keys assuming my friend is on valet duty. Keep it close, I'll only be 10 or 15 minutes. No big deal. My friend is not fazed. He plays it cool, catches the keys mid-air like he's been doing this all day, and hops TF in. Now, Boston with its maze of streets and intersections that feel like they were designed by a city planner from a medieval village, drunk on mead, hopped up on cocaine and heroin, are challenging enough on their own. But, my dude knows the city like the back of his hand. The valet parking is around the corner. I must note that this particular hotel was built at a 5-way intersection in the heart of the city. Instead of taking the Porsche to the valet lot, he gives the guy a little Boston-style lesson in humility. In my friend's words, I highly doubt that car has ever been driven that hard, with the top down, a bald Irishman man at the wheel, screaming. "The British are comin'. The British are comin'. The British are comin'." He leaves it in the middle of that crazy 5-way cow path, engine running, door wide open. Legend. Our next post is from Homegrown Vegetables. You missed your target, ma'am. This was a few years PC, pre-COVID. A new Target had opened up in my city and I thought I'd drop in on my way home from work to pick up some things, Band-Aids, water bottle and snacks for the car, etc. At the time I worked in an office that required us to dress very professional, suits with ties for the men, and for the ladies dresses, jackets, blouses, heels etc. On the date in question I had on a black suit and jacket and an emerald green chiffon blouse and 3-inch heels. Lady came up to me while I was looking at Band-Aids and she's holding a shirt. I wasn't really paying attention to her so I missed her question. I presume it was, "Do you have this in more sizes/colors?" But she started berating me saying, "Oh, so you're just going to ignore a paying customer?" Me, "Are you talking to me?" Her, "Yes." Who do you think I'm talking to? So rude. Me, "You know I don't work here, right?" Her, "Oh, you're not fooling anyone, missy. I know you work here. I've seen you here working many times before. You're going to be in so much trouble when I find your manager." Me, "I really don't, never have. I am also a customer, trying to do some shopping points to basket. I also checked to make sure what I was wearing. Yep, black and emerald green. Definitely not Target colors." She storms off and comes back maybe 5 minutes later with a man wearing Target red and a name tag saying, "There, that's her. I expect you to fire her. She was so rude the whole time." He proceeds to look me up and down and then apologized profusely to me. He then turns and tells this woman, "I've been the manager at this Target since it opened a few months ago and I've hired everyone here. This woman is not now and has never been employed here. She is also a customer. Is there something I can help you find?" I'll admit I watched her face change colors with a certain deal of amusement. She settled on an angry shade of red, screaming at him to stop protecting her, me, just because she's pretty, and that she was so rude to me, just ignoring me, and not offering to help me. With him trying to explain that as another customer I'm not obligated to help her, and that she should have just looked for a staff member with a name tag. She was still yelling at him, and at me, when I ultimately just picked up my items and left for the registers. Our next post is from Carib Puzzled 6317. For a long time during my EMS/paramedic career, I worked in a tiny, near-rural tourist town. 1 grocery store, 2 casinos, 1 elementary school and junior high/high school combined in 1 school, 1 lake, 20 campground small town. In the summer, there were more tourists on any given day than permanent residents. But, in winter it was just locals. Get a call to the 1 grocery store for a heart attack. Working the call in the aisle and some old lady stands there, staring at us. My partner is doing chest compressions, I'm starting in 4 and pushing medication trying to bring this guy back to life. Old lady clears her throat and asks where some product is. No one from my crew answers, 'cause you know, we're a little busy. Lady gets annoyed and raises her voice asking if someone can show her the item. Fire captain tells her we don't work there. Then she goes off on us, blocking the aisle, and says we're being rude. She straight demands we show her where whatever she is asking for is, grabs my shoulder with her corpse fingers while I have an open sharp out. Cue instant protection instinct of elbowing her in the knee. She screeches for the manager who just tells her again we're not employees. To this day I don't understand how she didn't see our gurney, bags, badges, fire truck and ambulance out front. It should have been so clear we were public safety. Kicker to the whole situation was we've transported her husband from their home numerous times over the 3 prior years I worked that town and transported him several times after. He was a chain-smoking unstable diabetic, went to hospital at least 2 to 3 times a month. Our next post is from Boom It and Start Over. I swear to God I am not your supermarket waifu, sir. So this all happened about 4 years ago, when I just started my lab tech job and was taking the bus every morning. It was pretty convenient, the bus stop was only a few blocks from my apartment and there was a stop just a few hundred feet from my work parking lot. For context, the place had a very long driveway that curved around and almost looked like a regular road. 2 stops before this, there was a very popular supermarket. At the time I had a pretty generic college girl look, short purple hair and chunky glasses. Both of these things are relevant. There was one specific driver who had the route pretty often, and every time we pulled up to the supermarket he'd wait 5 to 10 minutes while just staring at me. Sometimes he'd clear his throat or announce that, well, we're here. But it wasn't my stop so I just waited out. Usually I just listened to music the whole ride and bored him until he tried to get my attention. Didn't think much of it at all, just figured he was ahead of schedule or something. But still, he started getting a little more cranky with me every day. After a few months of this, he just popped off at me. Why wouldn't I get off the bus? Why did I insist on getting off in the research park and walking up that one road? Was it him? Was I not wanting him to see me go into work? Did I lie about where I live, too? I was baffled, and told him I don't know what he's talking about. I don't work at the store, and the road was a driveway that didn't let out anywhere but a parking lot. The guy's furious. He's saying he sees me in the store every day, don't lie to him. He can spot my purple hair and glasses from a mile away. And I'm even more confused, I've seen dozens of other girls with the exact same hair. It's a college town, purple hair was cliché at that point. We keep arguing back and forth, him that I have to be lying, me that even if I was this was effing weird. He starts asking why I never acknowledge him when I ring him up, and never take my headphones off on the bus. He'd been apparently trying to seek me out to chat at work, because I wouldn't in the morning, and trying to chat in the morning because I was ignoring him at work. Because he was talking to 2 different people and neither of them were interested. He was visibly in his 40s and we're both in our early 20s. I wound up calling in a complaint to the main terminal a few weeks later, because if he wasn't sulking and shouting passive-aggressive jabs at me, he was telling anyone else on the bus what a mean little ice bee I am. Which, I can be, but what did he expect trying to form an emotional connection on a bus at 6 in the morning? I'm just trying to chug coffee and put on my game face, I'm not ready to function as a people or play nice with others. It was already weird, but he made it a whole thing. And he still didn't believe me, because he'd jab, have a nice walk, I'll see you later, as I got off the bus. So I complained about it. I know it was awful of me, but I was tired of every morning being about this weird old guy being mad at me for not working at a supermarket. After that, there was a new regular driver on my route who was really lovely. Fast forward a few more months after the complaint, I happened to need to stop by the supermarket before I went home. Hadn't seen the guy once since I'd complained, so I hadn't thought about him much. By that point I'd found a shortcut in the fence so I didn't have to ride the bus all the way around to get there. As I get rung up, I realized who was doing so. A very cute young girl, with purple hair and chunky glasses. Here's the wild part, we looked nothing alike. Her hair was a completely different cut, we had different shades of purple, her glasses were black while mine were purple, she was thin and petite while I'm curvy and jiggly, she had freckles, and I was a good few inches taller. We made eye contact and after a few seconds she just asks, "Do you ride the bus?" I said yes and we just stared for a few more seconds. I said I was so effing sorry and she just shoves my bag at me and tells me it wasn't my fault. We never spoke again. I have no idea what happened to the creepy bus driver or if he continued harassing the girl after my complaint. But still, sometimes I still wonder what the EFF all that was. Our final post for today is from Compile Commit. No, I don't work here, and my wife made that clear. Average height in my culture is around 5 feet 5 inches, but I'm a full foot taller at 6 feet 5 inches. Because of that, I often get asked to help reach things on high shelves at grocery stores. I don't mind helping out as long as it's light, 2 to 3 kilograms is fine. Anything heavier, though, tends to bring down a mini avalanche of dust, which no one wants. This story takes place in 2022, shortly after my family moved into a new apartment near a massive wholesaler called Metro Cash and Carry. It's similar to Walmart, owned by a German company, now acquired by Reliance, and caters to business owners. Most of the smaller stores in the area get their stock from there, so it's a good place for us to shop in bulk. On this day, my wife and I split up to handle our shopping list faster. She was picking up oils, and I was gathering grains. I noticed a good deal on 1 kilogram packs of wheat that made them cheaper per kilo than the 5 kilograms packs. However, the 1 kilogram packs were almost out on the main shelf, so I reached up to the top shelf and pulled some down. Just then, an old woman behind me politely asked if I could get 5 for her as well. I didn't mind, so I passed them to her, and she thanked me before moving on. I started pushing my cart toward the legume section when I heard a loud, "Excuse me." I thought someone was calling an employee, so I kept going, but then came an even louder, "Excuse me." I turned around, and there she was, a Karen waving me down like she was hailing a cab. I pointed to myself, confused. "You talking to me?" Karen snapped, "Yes. Can you please help me?" Without moving, I asked, "With what?" Karen pointed at a 5 kilograms pack of rice on the top shelf and asked if I could bring it down for her. I glanced at the hefty pack and, politely as I could, explained that it was a bit too heavy for me to grab safely and suggested she ask an actual employee, there were 2 nearby, to help. Then I turned back to continue with my shopping. Not 5 seconds later, I felt a tug on my arm. Karen was now physically pulling me back toward the rice shelf. She kept yanking my arm, insisting, "It's not that heavy. I'm in a hurry. Just get it for me." For a moment, I just stood there, completely shocked and honestly a little flustered. I may be big, but I'm also non-confrontational and tend to avoid scenes. So, instead of arguing, I did the only thing I could think of, I pulled out my phone and called my wife. Now, my wife and I balance each other out perfectly. She's petite, much shorter than the average height, and she's also louder than a jet engine, if I had to pick an analogy. As soon as I said, "Hey, hon, could you come over here? A lady's giving me trouble," she was on her way. Within moments, my wife appeared, storming over with the intensity of a one-woman army. She glared at Karen still gripping my arm and said, loud enough for half the store to hear, "Why are you touching my husband? He doesn't work here, and he's certainly not your personal assistant." Karen, caught off guard, stammered a few words, dropping my arm and taking a step back. My wife, still not fully briefed on the situation, asked, "So what exactly do you want from my husband?" Karen, clearly flustered, mumbled something about just needing some help getting the rice down. My wife, eyebrows raised, looked around, spotted an employee nearby, and said, "If you need help with rice, that's what these folks are here for. My husband doesn't work here." Then she made eye contact with one of the actual employees, and gestured toward the rice, saying, "This lady needs help with the rice up there. Mind assisting her?" Without another word, the employee came over, and Karen slunk away toward the rice with him, still muttering under her breath. "We still shop there, but don't split up anymore."
That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed these insane stories. Hit that like button, and let's keep the fun going by subscribing. Catch you soon. Ooh, ah, ah.